So we're going to start by going into a new layer and just starting to draw over. Again, you can use any tools. I'm using Adobe Photoshop, but I'm also drawing on a Cintiq, so sorry if I'm not always looking up at you in your eyes. But I want to just start thinking about how I would add or fit in limbs for characters that are like this. Because if you have just this dome shape, your brain might not automatically be like, that's a character. So you kind of have to train yourself into thinking, how could a character fit in here? How could their limbs work in conjunction with this thing? Adding faces always helps, obviously. Uh, and you can do, of course, a head on top of a shape very easily, but I don't want you to just think in circles or anything like that. Think of like maybe repeating shapes. We'll see if we've got hair cascading down. Boom, boom. All of these are just opportunities to think about what kind of shapes tell the story of your character. So if you're using a lot of squares with circles, that's not only a friendly person, that's a reliable person, that kind of thing. And then we have options for other shapes. We can add hats. We can do all sorts of hats, curvy, straight, whatever. We can have costume elements really easily add on to things. So these aren't necessarily like, oh, this person's, hips are a triangle. No, that could be a dress that they are wearing. They go like this and they're like, I'm wearing a dress. And I want you to keep playing with these as much as you need to feel comfortable with adding limbs. I don't want you to feel like you're having to struggle to do this. So the more that you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. Trust me. It just takes a little bit of time. And then maybe they have like a bird snoot coming out. There's so many options, especially when you're doing what I was saying with the owl lady. Like if you're taking inspiration from something, say you want it to be crow-like. Well, study a crow, first of all, but then like start adding things that feel crow-like, having like a little hunch and like a big old beak come out. Just go with the obvious. Don't worry about being original or like this is my best design ever kind of thing, but just start getting stuff down on the page, because that is the most important element. Is once you put something down on the page, you can start editing it. And I think that's a lot of what other people, not you, other people, what they miss out on can be that you don't have to be brilliant. You just have to be good at editing. Really. So I want you guys to just put stuff down on the page. Put everything down. Put it down. Step away. Boom. Very mysterious. All you can see is their eyes. Okay, so you get the point. This is how I would go about adding things to basic shapes to come up with characters. Again, this is my chicken scratch. This is absolutely just free flowing. Don't worry about how pretty your drawings are. I want you to figure out shapes and character stuff, not necessarily that this is going to be your design. You can see how quickly these come out. I don't want you to spend a million hours on this. So I want you to know something about my project rather than yours. So you guys are doing Beauty and the Beast. I am going to do my own characters, not based on a story, just off of my imagination, because I don't want to confuse you with this is what I'm going for with Belle or Beast or whatever. And then you're like, darn it, I was going to use those shapes. I don't want you to worry about stuff like that. I want you to have more of an open, just do anything. It's all yours. So I have decided to make two different characters and just give them personality traits. And I imagine these two are like female characters that are adventuring together. So they're a bit rough and tumble. But number one is witty, strong-willed, and anxious. And number two is caring, generous, and unorganized. These aren't at all based on people I know. That is really a good way to come up with these traits, though, is think about what combinations of traits would you say are the strongest in your mind of people you know. And they don't have to all be from one person. They could be a mix and match. So that gives you an idea also of what you would want to draw for them. Like, oh, I know Steve has, he's really well-meaning kind of guy, but also really shy. And then you're like, but he looks like that because he's always hiding under his hood or whatever, like just aspects of life that leak into your design. Okay, so I also picked some shapes for these guys to go along with their words. So witty, strong-willed, and anxious to me felt like triangles, diamonds, and squares. And then the caring, generous, and unorganized felt very like circular and rounded, and then a little bit of squared off. So along with that, I made little notes of just thoughts that came to me. And I thought that number one seemed like they would be taller and have like a big forehead. For some reason, like a thinker to me feels like they would have a big forehead. And then number two, I wanted to be bottom heavy and have some sort of a roughened edge. Not that she's sloppy, but that she's unorganized is one of her keywords, which means that I just wanted a little bit of fraying so she doesn't look super clean and neat. It's just a little bit like she doesn't have it all together. All right, so let's just draw on some of these shapes and see what we come up with. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did in the other page, just putting things on things and see what comes out. Already I'm noticing from this that I'm going naturally when I'm doing stuff quickly and not thinking too much. I missed one of my key things, which was bottom heavy. So I want to have that weight distributed mostly to the bottom. For some reason, that felt like this character to me. I could do like a bell shape kind of thing. Of course, I'm going to go with the same reference that we have for you guys too, which is late 1700s in France. So there's tons of dress stuff that I can use. There's tons of, I could do menswear on them. That would be really fun. Could do all sorts of stuff. Now this is more of like a usual human proportion with the head size to the body size, which is totally fine. It's just, do I want that next to a really basic shape character? And I'll have to reconcile that on my own. But it's not bad or good or whatever. And I honestly I shouldn't even think of it at this stage because right now what I'm doing is just playing with shapes, having a good old time. I'm feeling the teardrop. I really like that one. And I'm going to show you basically what I do to figure out which is my favorite. Let's do another circle. And you can see how quickly I'm doing this. I am really not caring about what the shape looks like at all. Obviously the shape that I'm using, but I'm not worried about having straight edges or clean anything because I've trained my brain to be able to interpret things without seeing the individual lines of it. And if you find yourself struggling with that, I would just sketch without looking at the paper sometimes, because honestly, that opens up your mind so quickly. It's called blind contour when you do that. And it can be really useful actually, because you need to let go a lot of times. I've found loosening up is not as easy as it sounds. And so taking that control literally out of your hands can be a good thing sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to step back, I'm going to lean back and look at all of these at once and see what I feel about them. If there's any definitive, I am feeling like this is the right direction. I definitely think that these two are headed in the right area. I'm going to draw that kind of shape one more time so that I can kind of contribute all of the things that I like about what I've put down so far into one sketch. And then maybe even improve it. I'm going to do whoop. And I think I do like her with a little bit of hair. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go with this one on this side. And then let's work on number one, our witty, strong-willed, anxious one. And a lot of times these sketches are all about getting the bad ideas out. So if you find yourself sketching and you don't like any of them, start over. Just get a fresh, clean page and start from the beginning. See what you come up with the second time. I guarantee you will get something stronger than the first time. It always happens. Doesn't matter how many times you do it. If anybody hasn't seen Lee's YouTube video on the surefire way to get a great piece, it's all about doing a lot of preliminary work and doing like 50 thumbnails, that kind of thing. And that idea is exactly right, as he usually is. And it's the same for shape design. If you were to do 50 of these, there's no way that you would get the same result as doing 5. You would get a way better one, no matter what. Sometimes I do this shortcut for like walking feet. I find it really easy and it just kind of fixes some of the issues, like putting 2 legs at the bottom of a point, that kind of thing. Yes, it's a cop out. Don't call me on it. I want this character to be tall, so I'm going to give them really long legs. That doesn't mean they have to be thin legs, though. I can make them thick for sure. Give them bell bottoms. And again, this is going to be a female character. She could have hair of any kind. Like this triangle head doesn't have to be her face. It can be her hair and her face is in here somewhere. All of that can be changed in the future. It's all just about playing around with it. Boom, I changed it. It was a diamond and now it's hands on hips. Yeah. It's like a curved rectangle. I don't know. This is why we play. That doesn't feel at all like my character though. Backing up, I'm thinking that these two feel the most like my character. So I'm going to redraw triangle body, long legs McGee. I really like that square head. Should I make it? Let's try out an oval head just to see. No, I like the rectangle better. Sometimes you gotta try it to see if you like it better. All right, so yeah, I think that's great. I think maybe they have hair come down. I don't know. All right, so we're going to go with these two as our shapes. Next week, we are going to work on proportions. So you're going to see a lot more options of these kind of shapes. So let's get into the assignment for this week. Why do I keep saying weeks? Not weeks. Exercises. I hope that you give this a whole week, but if you don't, just come back here for proportion. So for your assignment, you are to choose 5 characters to start your lineup and create 10 sketches of shape-based character designs for each character, meaning exactly what we just did for mine, but make 10 of them per character at least. You can definitely go beyond. Don't feel like you have to stick to 10, but I want you to do at least 10 so that you get something out that's like good. The more you do, the better it will be for sure. Pick your favorite distinctly different shapes of characters and contrast those shapes of each character on a lineup. So with lineup, all I expect to see is just a line and then you've got your characters. So as long as you have that, I will be happy. And if you don't, I'll be sad. So don't disappoint me. No pressure at all. All right, so that's what I expect to see from you next week with little feet. And I hope you have a ton of fun with this. Next is going to be proportions, so get ready for that. See you next time.